At its core, Stardew Valley is a farming game, but it has a ton of different aspects, most of which seem to stem from using the town in one way or another. But I want to try and see if I can completely bar myself from going to town, except for the community center, and see if I can complete all of it. A big choice with this challenge happens before we even start the profile, and that is choosing the correct farm. So let me go through each of them one by one and say why I won't choose them. The standard farm has nothing really special that would be needed. The needed fish you could get for the Riverland farm can be got elsewhere. The forest farm's biggest thing is the large dumps, which I can't get as I can't upgrade my axe. The hilltop farm has a chance for the main part, the quarry, to be blocked by something I can't mine. The wilderness farm's biggest difference is that it can spawn monsters, but either way you could just enable that when you're making the farm. The Four Corners farm doesn't really have anything special. The Meadowlands farm is only really good for animals, which I still can't get. So the final farm and the best for this challenge is the beach farm for many reasons. Firstly, even if we couldn't get to other places like the bus stop, forest forageables can spawn here, which I had happen multiple times, and as well as that, beach forageables can spawn here too, which is perfect for later in the run. The farm can also have supply crates washed up on shore, which can have very good items, and finally you can fish up any fish that you can normally find at the beach or in the ocean, which is very useful. With the farm chosen and the save started, we need to wait around 6 days before we can access the community center, and as we have no access to anywhere like the beach, the mines, or anywhere in town, we are restricted to only really planting some parsnips, clearing the farm of trees and weeds, and picking up some forageables. And when the community center can be started, we can use those forageables to complete the spring foraging, which might look a small bit off, and to tell you why, we need to go right back to the character creation and turn remix bundles on, because this makes the challenge actually possible, which I'll cover whenever needed. It can also help speed up some bundles by swapping hard ones out for easier ones, and that could be shown in the first room but a bit later. And it's also the first completed room, which is how the order will continue. And with everything covered, let's start completing the community center. With the remix bundles enabled, there's only one bundle that is completely impossible, and that is the wild medicine bundle, all because of the white algae, which while you can only get it from a fishing rod, not only can we not get that, but we can't even get anywhere near underground as I can't access the mines. But other than that bundle, the crush room is basically free, mostly because of where I can access, as all 4 seasons have their own foraging bundles, and as I can get that anywhere, it's very easy for those. And this is the same for the sticky bundle, which was swapped in instead of the construction bundle, which is incredibly easy as it just needs some deforestation, which I've already done. That sounds bad. The exotic bundle, which may seem bad, is also incredibly simple because, well, we can't get the coconut or cactus fruit as it's stuck behind the desert, and we can't get the cave carrot as I can't go to the mines. We can get any of the 3 mushrooms using a mushroom log, which we unlock from leveling up foraging, and the last 3 items can be got from tapping trees. Any of the accessible items can complete the bundle as I only need 5 items, and I opted for oak resin, pine tar, a red mushroom, a coconut, and a cactus fruit, nearly all bought from the traveling cart. I don't know why I did that, but pushing that to the side as it's not really important. It's the final bundle for this section and is the end of any easy room, because the next one is the boiler room. This is one of the bundles I had to reset a lot to get right, and the best bundles for this run are the Blacksmith bundle, the Treasure Hunters bundle, and the Engineers bundle. The other bundles I could get for this section are both impossible. The Adventures bundle to start is restricted to enemy drops, and while I could use the minecarts to access the mines, that might be difficult. And while I could enable monsters to spawn at night, in the long run it would have just been a big inconvenience. The last impossible bundle is the Geologists bundle, which may initially seem possible as fire quartz, frozen tears, and earth crystals can all be got from fishing. The regular quartz is completely impossible as I can't get it from anywhere. Other than those, the other bundles are all possible, but like every other section requires a lot of waiting. To start, however, we're going to cover the easiest of the 3, the Blacksmith bundle, which requires 1 gold, 1 iron, and 1 copper bar. Now you may be wondering, how do I get any of the ores or the bars? And to answer that, we need a fishing rod. Now you normally get a fishing rod from the beach after day 2, but as I'm not allowing myself to walk to the beach, how do I get there? Let me introduce you to warp totems, and as the name suggests, these warp the player to whatever the warp totem says, and to craft these you need fiber, which is very easy, coral, which you can forage from the farm, and hardwood. But as we can't upgrade our tools to mine the stumps, there are two other ways we can get the hardwood. Firstly is by mahogany trees. Now normally these are locked behind the secret woods, and well, you can normally skip that with a chair. I don't really want to do that, so the other option is the one we're going to have to choose, which is by mining trees, and like a lot of trees. Like 1,000 a lot of trees. And this is because we need level 10 foraging, as after that we can get this specific perk which can get you hardwood from mining normal trees, or we can get one from an artifact spot after summer 1. But whenever we need to go back there, we will still craft the warp totems, but I didn't know that until I actually picked one up. Anyways, with the fishing rod acquired, we can now obtain ores from fishing treasure. These have a 15% chance of showing up when a hit happens, and after that, to get one bunch of copper ore, it's at its highest a 12% chance, which means to get one bunch it will take about 250 tries, which could be completely wrong. And it seems bad, but the 50% chance for a treasure chest can actually increase to a maximum of 40%, which lowers it to less than 100 tries, which is still bad, but it's more doable at least. The chances for the other ores are shown on screen now, with iron being the last one I actually got. Now while I was initially worried about getting a furnace, Clint actually gives you the recipe the morning after you get a copper ore from anywhere, meaning it's not a big issue at all. Now I could have completed this bundle way quicker if the iron wasn't instantly put right back into a recycling machine, but it's overall an amazing investment, because using the metric tons of trash we picked up, we can recycle it into better things like more iron ore, which finishes the bundle, and also refined quartz, which we need for the next bundle, the engineer's bundle. This bundle, while seeming quite challenging, isn't even that bad, as we can get the battery from many ways, like the lightning rods from the vault, children apparently, and and the traveling cart, which is where I ended up getting it from. But the one item that is an issue is the iridium ore, which while I could have gotten this from treasure chests, it would have taken about 2,800 tries if I did my math right at a base level, which if I could skip would be amazing. Oh no, this is an iridium ore. How perfect. The final bundle, and the one that took the longest amount of time, is the treasure hunters bundle. And although I get these the same way I get the items from the blacksmith bundle, they not only have varying fishing zones, which I don't even want to get into, but they also are way rarer than the ores, with the highest chance of getting one being 4.3% chance compared to the lowest chance of 5% for the ores, which means it could take like 700 attempts each, which is bad and took ages to get, but we did end up getting the required ones in the end. This sentiment of it taking ages is shared well with the bulletin board. This section held the bundles I needed to reset the most for, and still were less than ideal, which I'll get to in a minute. But before that, there were 3 bundles that were completely off limits, and these were the Spirit's Eve, the Helpers, and the Home Cook bundles, all of which requiring the town in one way or another. And although we didn't get the easiest bundle ever, the first bundle we completed was the Children's bundle, who, as I've mentioned, somehow gave us 3 batteries, but that's completely besides the point. This bundle is 100% completable without any help, as the salmon berries can be obtained from berry picking, the cookie can be given to you from your mum if you're a male after passing 5,000 gold, which is easy for us, and finally, hoeing artifact spots as well as fishing have a good chance of giving us an ancient doll, which is why I got an ice cream from the travelling cart. The Winter Star bundle is the next bundle, and is something else that doesn't require the cart, but still had it used to speed things up. This is mostly because as both holly and powder melon can both be obtained, it means that the 2 slots needed for the bundle to be completed can be completed. The next bundle is where I couldn't have got as unlucky as I did, as the dye bundle, which has 5 slots, could have been one of 2 items, and the items that would have been best for me would have been a red mushroom, which I can get using a mushroom log, and I didn't say how to make the mushroom log, but it requires hardwood, which with level 10 foraging we can now get, a sea urchin which I could get from the farm, a sunflower which is the only one I actually got which I could get, the aquamarine from fishing chests, and finally either a duck feather or a cactus fruit, and either a red cabbage or a iridium bar, but as my luck would have it, I got the worst options other than the sunflower. And while I could have reset for it to be completely possible, I realised way too late. So that's my bad. The next bundle I completed was the Enchanter's bundle, as I can make tappers for the oak resin, use the keg from other bundles to get wine, and use the fruit bats in the cave for pomegranate. And the only one that required a cart is the rabbit's foot, and I can get it from other means, but that will be mentioned at the end. And the final bundle is the fodder bundle, which takes some waiting, and the main reason is because of the apples that you need. Normally you can get these from the fruit cave, but they are the lowest chance by a long shot at 2%, and you need like 3 of them. I don't even want to do the math for that, but luckily for me I got an apple sapling from the travelling cart, which saved me a lot of time. Both the wheat and hay aren't very difficult to get, as wheat can be obtained from mixed seeds, which can also drop hay, and hay can also be bought through Marnie's Ranch, as one of the only dedicated shops I can actually reach. With each of these completed, including some items that will be very useful for me, it's time to move on to the pantry. This section has a lot of different bundles with remix bundles, but I got very lucky with getting the garden bundle, artisan bundle and quality crops bundle in place of the other bundles, which are the rare crops bundle, which I can complete from the travelling cart, but I didn't get the bundle, the animal bundle, which is completely impossible as I can't build anything to hold the animals, the fish farmers bundle, which requires Robin to build a fish pond, and finally the brewers bundle, which I think might be possible, but I didn't really look into it much. Now, very surprisingly, the first bundle completed was the artisan bundle, as the fruit cave we chose from Demetrius after passing an amount of gold, I forgot how much, I think it might be 25,000, completes it fully with also some lucky travelling cart items. The next easiest was the garden bundle, which while may seem impossible as we can't access the town to grow them, they can be obtained from mixed flower seeds, which we can get from a couple of ways. One of which is the supply crates, only after upgrading our house. But we can also get them in place of mixed seeds and fiber when harvesting weeds in the summer, which is the only other way we can get them. Once we do, there are 0 issues in growing them. Speaking of mixed seeds, these are the only ways for us to get any crops, but it's not a fix-all solution because while most crops can be obtained through them, some are completely impossible, most of which come from the summer crops bundle, which I will talk about later. But before those, spring and fall, although both requiring 1 crop each from the travelling cart, were completed quite quickly. And using the crops from the mixies and putting those into the seed maker we got from the dye bundle means we can make sure we get enough gold crops to finish the quality crops bundle. This means the last bundle we completed was the summer crops bundle, which is also the worst in this room in terms of travelling cart purchases. However, the seeds from these can be bought from the magic ship boat, which sells basically every seed, but either way I did end up getting all of them from the travelling cart. While I didn't really mention the vault in the beginning, the main reason for that is because it's so incredibly easy and just requires some things to be sold, which wouldn't have made sense before, but it was actually the first one I completed. Originally, I would have thought that a fish tank was going to be the easiest just because of how versatile the farm I chose is, but I was very wrong. To start, there are multiple impossible bundles, and that is the Master Fish bundle, which is completely impossible as I can't get the lava eel or scorpion carp, and the Quality Fish bundle is also impossible because I can't get to the mountains, so I can't get the largemouth bass, which is quite sad as the other ones are very easy. The Crab Pot bundle was the easiest with 4 items being foraged forageables from the farm, but I ended up getting a periwinkle from the traveling cart and a snail from the same way I got the rabbit's foot, which you might be able to guess now, but that completed the bundle without any issues, thankfully. Now, the next 3 bundles are actually also incredibly easy with the river, ocean and night fishing bundles, as I can get the tiger trout in fall and winter, the shad in spring, summer and fall when it's raining, the catfish at spring and fall with the same raining weather, and the sunfish in spring and summer, all of which I can catch from the cindersap forest. And I can get each of the ocean fish from my farm with the sardine in spring, fall and winter, the tuna in summer and winter, the tilapia in summer and fall, and the red snapper also in summer and fall but when it's raining, although it's completely different on another wiki page and I'm not too sure why. Anyways, the night fishing bundles are all got a night, which difficult to guess that, innit? With the walleye in rivers and lakes and in fall when it's raining, the bream can be found in rivers in any season, and finally the eel can be obtained from our farm when it's raining in spring or fall. The real difficulty with this room though comes with the next 2 bundles, which is the speciality fish bundle and the lake fish bundle. To start, the speciality fish only has 1 fish I can get personally, although it was one of the earliest fish I actually got from the traveling cart. Either way, this bundle actually requires 3 traveling cart purchases as I can't get the other 3. However, the final bundle I had to complete was the most annoying, being the lake fish bundle. Now, these can't be obtained from where I need to go because I can't get to town, so I can't get to the mountains, and to combat that, I need to get them from one of 2 spots. First, the traveling cart, or the secret weapon, which is where I got the snail or rabbit's foot, which is cat gifts. And these can give you all the fishes from the lake, and I think also a river, but sadly it can't give you any speciality fish, or I would have been using that. But either way, most of the items only took a small amount of time, but the last fish took 2 entire Stardew Valley years, and it was very, very painful. With the final fish traded in, we have finally completed the community center. I'm not shy, I didn't know town, but the community centre had never looked better. You done Pelican Town a great service. Everyone in the town is pleased. As a way of saying thank you, I'd like to present you with the town's greatest honour, the Stardew Hero Award. You've earned it.